Throughout my life, I have always been taught to be mindful about what I eat, while always having the freedom to eat what I like in moderation. Growing up, I never understood why my mom would constantly make my brothers and I eat our fruits and vegetables, or why there was fish being put on my plate. As I got older, I started to realize how beneficial certain foods were in my diet, and I realized that a lot of them were related to the Mediterranean diet. This sparked my curiosity as I began to wonder what makes this diet so special, and what can it do to improve people's quality of life, especially when it comes to cardiovascular disease. The Mediterranean diet is considered to be one of the healthiest dietary patterns due to its high antioxidant and anti-inflammatory nutrients. It is known for its wide variety of foods, including legumes, nuts, fruits, vegetables, fish, red wine, and extra virgin olive oil. With all these different foods, this diet is rich in essential nutrients and vitamins, while focusing on cutting out processed foods and sugars. There is also a focus on lowering red meat and dairy intake. The Mediterranean diet originated in the Mediterranean basin and has popularized in the countries that border the Mediterranean Sea, and it has even spread across the world into the US. Countries where this diet is popular, it is found that the people there have a higher life expectancy rate. Overall, this diet has spread throughout the world and is known for its incredible properties. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in the US and worldwide, and can affect all types of people. It is mainly caused by the narrowing of blood vessels in your heart or other organs, and this causes chest pain, shortness of breath, and blockage of blood vessels. Its main causes are high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and a poor diet. Diets that are high in sodium, sugar, and fat play a big role in the development of CVD. This started to get me thinking about how CVD can be lowered and what type of diet may help with these risks. After some research, I was able to find some interesting studies that began to prove that the Mediterranean diet may be beneficial in lowering the risk of CVD. The first case study I chose was a human randomized control trial. The goal of the study is to decrease cardiovascular disease through a Mediterranean or low-fat diet. This trial was set up where 502 patients were in the Mediterranean diet group and 500 patients were in the low-fat diet group. The patients were monitored by a team of dietitians and investigated if their diet prevented major cardiac events. 7 years later, a follow-up with the patients was conducted and their cardiovascular health was assessed. It was found that in secondary prevention, the Mediterranean diet had more success preventing CVD events compared to the low-fat diet. The next study I did was a research on an in vitro cell study. The goal of this study was to discover if diet impacts the amount of plasmaceramides in the blood and their contribution to CVD. It has been found that high levels of plasmaceramides have been linked to a higher risk of CVD. This study was done by 980 participants that were separated into two groups, incident cases and baseline cases, and followed for over 7 years. Participants were randomized to a Mediterranean diet supplemented with extra virgin olive oil, a Mediterranean diet supplemented with nuts, or a control diet. Plasmaceramide concentrations were measured in order to determine risk of CVD-related issues. After 7 years, patients' ceramide levels were measured, and it was found that participants in the control group had a higher ceramide score and were more likely at risk for CVD, while the supplemented diet group had a lower risk. As you can see on the graph that was provided from the study, the control group has a much higher risk than the group with the different Mediterranean diets. The diet group's cumulative incidence of CVD is also much lower. The last case study I will be discussing is also a human randomized controlled trial. The goal of this study was to assess the efficacy of the Mediterranean diet to decrease cardiovascular risk factors in children and adolescents with obesity. This study was done where participants were assigned to a Mediterranean-style or a standard diet. At baseline and after 16 weeks, the glucose, triglycerides, total cholesterol were measured, as well as the body composition. It was found that the Mediterranean-style diet had a significant decrease in BMI, lean mass, fat mass, and glucose. In conclusion, this style diet improves BMI, glucose, and lipid profile in children and adolescents with obesity. Obesity is a large component of CVD, and stopping that problem at a younger age can be beneficial in the future. This graph that was created from the study shows the Mediterranean-style diet on the left and the standard diet on the right. As you can see, after the 16-week period, the Mediterranean-style diet decreased obesity and the standard diet increased risk. Overall, the Mediterranean diet is a good option for those that are trying to lower their risk for cardiovascular disease. What we eat plays a bigger role in our health than what we think. The things that we consume are extremely important, and this diet contains all the essential nutrients that our body needs without cutting out important food groups. In the end, focusing on what we eat can help prevent future problems and create a healthy life.